Now in this lecture, let's try to explore few of the out-of-box features provided by KeyCloak. The very first one that I want to highlight is about the themes inside KeyCloak. So if you go and see our login page, by default, I didn't code anything to appear like this. So this is coming from a theme that is by default considered by the KeyCloak. So these login themes you can identify under Realm settings. If you click Realm settings, there is a tab themes. Here, for each and every process that we can do inside KeyCloak, we can define a theme. Like for login, I can define a theme. Account, I can define a theme. Admin console, how it should look like, I can define a theme. Similarly, KeyCloak also capable of sending emails like whenever an account is created, password expired, or password is changed. For all those emails also we can create a theme that is specific to your organization. For now, by default, KeyCloak is considering the KeyCloak theme that is available for login. So if you click on the themes available, there is a base theme and KeyCloak theme. Let me see how it will look when I select a base. So now I'm clicking save. So if I go to the page of my home page of Angular app, if I click login, so this is how the base theme look like. So the base theme will not have any CSS or any beautification done for your login page. But as soon as I change the login theme to KeyCloak and save it, if I try to reload again, you can see my login page has a theme now with the name KeyCloak. So for some reason, if you want to maintain your own theme, your own login page, so that user doesn't have to feel like he is getting redirected to some other server, then definitely you have an option of building your own themes based upon your own HTML content, CSS content, images. So all those things you can build your own theme. Once you build your own theme, you'll get an option here to select. But if you really have that scenario where you have to build your own theme for your organization, I would request go to this documentation page of keycloak.org and look for the themes section. Here they have a clear explanation how you can define your own themes, how can we configure them, how can we create a theme, deploy them. So all those details are mentioned here. Now moving on to the feature client scopes. Like we were discussing previously, whenever we are making a request to KeyCloak, we used to mention the scope like OpenID, email, profile. So these scopes will help us in getting the details that we are expecting inside the JWT token. Like you can see, by default, KeyCloak has address, email, phone, profile, roles. So there are many client scope created for us by default. And each scope, if you click on them, like if I click on email, you can see what kind of details I'll get when I request for this scope. So for email scope, I'll get what is the user email, whether his email is verified. Similarly for address, if I check, I will get the user address details. You can also check the phone client scope. Here I'll get phone number verified and his phone number if at all available inside his profile. And at last, let's check profile also. Under profile, you can see you'll get a lot of details of the user like full name, picture, what zone he is present into, website, family name, given name, birth date, gender, nickname, username, updated date. So every details about him you will get under profile scope. And by default, KeyCloak will provide these scopes for every client application that registered with it. Like any client application who registered with the KeyCloak server, they can request email, profile, roles, address, phone number, profile details. All these scopes by default are granted to the client applications. But if there is a scenario where you want to create your own scope, customized scope, you can create that scope and you can define what kind of details the KeyCloak has to share to the client. And similarly, you can also control which client can get which scope details. Like if you go and check Easy Public Client for client scope, you can see by default, all the default client scopes are assigned. If I remove like any email or profile from this location, then this Easy Public Client cannot request the scope of email and they will get an error. So that kind of control also you will get inside identity and access management products like KeyCloak. Similarly, by default, we are sharing the roles also, address, phone number, everything we are sharing for now to the client applications, but you can control also based upon your custom requirement. We saw what are roles. Coming to identity providers, using identity providers, we can integrate our login page with social logins also. Like I can add any GitHub, Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, any external identity provider. Like KeyCloak itself is an identity provider, but if you want to bring one more identity provider inside a login page of KeyCloak, then definitely you can bring that. I will show in the next video how to integrate GitHub identity provider into KeyCloak login page, how easy it is. But as you can see here, there are many options of identity providers that you can choose, especially for social logins, right from GitHub to Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, Microsoft, Twitter, PayPal, Stack Overflow. So all these identity providers you can choose based upon your request. And coming to the user federation, sometimes you may have a scenario where all the users are present inside an LDAP location or Active Directory location. So in those scenarios, instead of maintaining the users inside KeyCloak server, you can integrate that LDAP or Active Directory with the help of user federation. And coming to authentication, inside authentication, you can define all the rules, what should happen during authentication process, what kind of restrictions that you want to put. Like for password policy, you can see right now I don't have any password policy. If I try to add a password policy, like where minimum length of the password should be 8 characters, as soon as I save, so this password policy will be enforced by my KeyCloak server for all the users that are trying to register with it. So if I try to create an user, like example is the username, I'm just clicking save. If I go to credentials and if I try to give 12345 12345 as an password, you can see I'm getting an invalid password error and the minimum length should be 8. So let me try to give the updated password like 1234567 Similarly for password confirmation also I'll give 1234567 I'm clicking set password. So here now it got success because my password policies that I have defined, those are getting satisfied because I choose a password of length 8 characters length. We saw like what are users, how we can create all the users, how we can see them. Similarly, we can also create grouping like all admins, all supervisors. So those kind of groups also we can do inside KeyCloak server. So this way there are many out-of-box features provided by KeyCloak server. So my sincere request is whenever you want to know more about KeyCloak features that it is provided, you can go to the documents page of keycloak.org and you can explore all the documents so that it will give more details, and with the help of documents you can easily make changes or customizations to your KeyCloak server based upon your custom requirements. Thank you. In the next lecture, let's try to integrate GitHub login option inside our KeyCloak login page. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Bye.